Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for, well, an extremely specific yet surprisingly universal analysis of efficiency.
It really is.
We're diving into a stack of detailed gardening notes focused entirely on how to propagate one plant, the common, beautiful Coleus.
Right. But what these notes show, it really changes how we should think about any kind of water propagation.
That's the thing. We're moving past, the gardening folklore and into some really high-definition observation here.
Exactly. The goal is simple. Distill the counterintuitive findings from these notes that challenge what we all assume, especially about things like rooting hormones, and give you a real shortcut to success.
And the central finding, the thing that hooked us immediately, it just flies in the face of what nearly everyone does.
It really does.
When you're propagating Coleus in water, the fastest, most vigorous, and most successful roots often form above the waterline.
Emerging right from the air, not submerged in the liquid like we're all taught to do.
It's an immediate, critical insight. I mean, if you've ever spent time carefully measuring a cutting to make sure, 3 nodes are underwater.
Or worried that you don't have enough water in the jar, these observations suggest you might be focusing all your effort and your expensive resources on completely the wrong part of the plant.
We're really trying to identify the plant's natural preferred rooting zone.
And it turns out to be totally different from the traditional way.
Okay, so let's unpack this aerial advantage, because understanding why this happens is the key to everything else.
It is.
The notes, specifically referencing an early documentation point, part 728, they detailed this initial repeated finding. Coleus roots just pop out faster and more reliably from these aerial nodes than from the stem tissue that's actually sitting in the water.
And it's not an accident of location. It's a planned biological mechanism. The source is pretty clear that the underlying reason is that these aerial nodes naturally have a much higher concentration of a critical plant hormone. Auxin, exactly. It's the primary hormone for growth regulation in plants, and when it comes to rooting, it's basically the traffic controller.
So let me get this straight. If the plant needs to regrow roots fast, like if it's been snapped off, it already has the materials concentrated at those nodes just waiting.
Precisely. You can think of those nodes as, well, pre-programmed survival kits. The high auxin concentration is specifically there to promote what botanists call adventitious roots.
Which are?
Roots that grow from non-root tissue, so from the stem in this case, instead of from an existing root. It's the plant's emergency backup plan.
So when that node hits the right environmental triggers,
like high humidity or moisture, that concentrated auxin just flips the switch and forces root development way faster than any other part of the stem.
That makes so much sense from an evolutionary standpoint. I mean, why waste energy trying to root an entire submerged stem when you can just focus everything on a few supercharged points?
It's maximum efficiency for minimum effort.
Yeah.
And the notes actually give us some context that supports this idea of needing the right trigger.
Right, the environment.
The gardener observed that placing these cuttings under a tall glass jar seemed to be a contributing factor.
The glass jar, that suggests high humidity, doesn't it? It essentially tricks the aerial node into thinking it's buried in moist soil.
Or submerged in water, even when it's only exposed to air. That is the crucial connection. You have this high internal hormone concentration meeting favorable external conditions.
It creates that perfect little environmental pocket.
A pocket where the node can just deploy its rooting mechanism immediately. And what's great about these notes is that this isn't some one-time fluke. The gardener was documenting this while actively transplanting rooted cuttings.
It is a continuous process.
A continuous evolving process. They even noted this was happening during a chilly monsoon season.
And that detail is important. It shows the finding holds true even when the surrounding atmosphere is less than ideal.
It suggests the internal hormone concentration and that immediate microclimate from the jar are the dominant factors.
So we can replicate this success whether it's a dry summer or a damp fall outside.
It just shows the resilience of focusing on the node. The node is the critical variable, the stem is secondary, and this leads us right into the next big finding.
Which challenged the synthetic aids.
Exactly. If the plant already has its own root hormone perfectly concentrated at the node, why would it need our expensive chemical help?
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me because they didn't just stop at observing where roots preferred to grow. They started questioning the commercial aids the whole industry relies on.
It's a beautiful case of critical thinking. Instead of just assuming the product works, they tested it against the plant's natural process. The observation from part 730 is so illuminating.
What did they do?
They took a specimen and deliberately prepared the water with synthetic auxin. This is that chemical booster, the rooting powder or gel that we're all told to use.
Right, the stuff we all buy thinking we're maximizing our chances. You dip the stem, you put it in the water, and you think you've given it the ultimate head start. So what happened?
The results were definitively underwhelming, especially where the hormone was most concentrated, at the bottom of the submerged stem.
So even with that synthetic boost saturating the water,
The submerged stem sprouted very little roots. It completely failed to create that vigorous, healthy growth that is the entire point of a rooting hormone.
but wait, that seems counterintuitive. If they added the synthetic boost directly to the water and we know auxin promotes rooting, why wouldn't the submerged stem just use that external chemical?
That is the million-dollar question. And the notes strongly imply that the plant's own localized internal mechanism is just. It's more powerful, more efficient than our external delivery system.
So the stem tissue underwater isn't preconditioned for it.
That seems to be the case. The aerial node is ready to go, with its own perfectly balanced, localized hormone supply. The submerged stem might just lack the right cellular receptors or structure to efficiently use that external synthetic chemical,
So the plant, basically, it ignores the noisy, expensive chemical we just added.
in favor of its own quiet, internal, naturally concentrated hormone supply.
Yes. And the contrast in the growth proves it. While the submerged stem was practically dormant.
Above the waterline, the growth was explosive. The notes describe it as long and bushy aerial roots.
The contrast is stark. Minimal, sluggish growth in the hormone-infused water.
And rapid, healthy growth from the non-treated aerial nodes.
This forces us to conclude that the synthetic supplement was, at best, redundant.
And at worst, a complete waste of resources. The results strongly suggest, as the notes say, that the synthetic auxin had little or no impact on promoting rooting at the bottom of the stem where we focus our efforts.
The takeaway for you, the listener, is huge. You're paying for a product that the part of your plant that actually wants to root is ignoring.
Absolutely. You're adding complexity, cost, and chemicals for no measurable benefit when propagating Coleus this way.
Which means a really significant and immediate practical shift for everyone listening. If we trust these observations, we can simplify the whole process.
Precisely. Based on this evidence, you can confidently exclude the use of synthetic auxin hormone in your future Coleus propagation. If the plant roots better, using its own mechanism at the node.
You just use plain water.
Just use plain water. It saves money, it saves mixing time, and it removes one more variable that could go wrong. Plain water, with a focus on supporting that aerial node, becomes the new baseline.
Which is fantastic news for efficiency and for the budget. But the gardener's journey didn't stop there. At plain water, they looked for a way to improve the environment even more.
Right, without going back to synthetic chemicals.
And this is where the notes introduce an alternative natural ingredient that might actually be superior to both synthetic hormones and plain water.
Aloe Vera gel.
Aloe Vera gel. We think of it for sunburns, but it's a powerhouse in plant care. How does it stack up?
Well, this is a beautiful example of finding a multifunctional natural solution. Aloe vera offers a dual benefit that addresses both the need for root stimulation and the practical problems of water propagation.
So it's not just a growth hormone substitute.
No, it's potentially superior because it does more. Yes, it provides natural rooting stimulants, but the critical difference is its second benefit. Aloe vera has significant antifungal and antimicrobial properties.
That is the true advantage, isn't it? If you've ever rooted plants in plain water, you know the cycle.
Oh yeah.
The water gets cloudy, the cut end of the stem starts to get brown and slimy.
Sometimes it dissolves completely before the roots even have a chance to take hold. You're constantly changing the water just to prevent rot.
Exactly. And those microbial issues, the decay and slime, are the silent killers of water propagation.
So by introducing aloe vera, you create a much healthier environment for the developing roots. You're not just stimulating growth, you're actively sanitizing the water and coating the cut tissue to prevent that decay.
It's preventative medicine and a stimulant all in one.
It is. It mitigates all those common pitfalls. Plain water can't do that, and the synthetic hormones, which are just growth regulators, they also fail to provide that crucial antimicrobial protection.
It shifts the focus. You're not just trying to force roots to grow anymore. You're creating a clean, supportive environment where the roots want to grow naturally.
It's the perfect low-cost, high-yield solution. We've got from focusing on the wrong part of the plant to using an expensive, ineffective chemical.
To realizing that simple observation and a multifunctional natural ingredient can deliver superior, healthier results.
It really is a fantastic case study.
This deep dive has completely streamlined Coleus propagation for me, and it gives us a new framework for looking at other cuttings. Simple, smart observation just beats complex, expensive solutions every time.
So if we connect this to the broader idea of horticultural efficiency, these notes give you 3 immediate, actionable takeaways.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, focus your propagation on the aerial node. That's where the plant concentrates its rooting hormones naturally.
Second, confidently skip the synthetic auxin hormone. Just don't buy it. The plant showed it has minimal impact on the submerged stem.
And third, consider introducing the natural boost of aloe vera. You'll create a cleaner, healthier, and more supportive rooting environment.
It's all about working with the plant's biology, not fighting against it with unnecessary chemicals.
Exactly, finding those optimal low-cost solutions. And this brings up a final important question for you, the listener.
Go on.
The gardener noted that their very next step after confirming all this was to go out and acquire aloe vera plants or buy fresh gel from the market. This wasn't just a theory. It was an immediate call to action.
So the lesson isn't just about what you can avoid, like the synthetic chemicals.
It's about what powerful, natural, multifunctional ingredients you should be actively seeking out to get those superior, healthier results.
So if the path to optimal efficiency is already laid out in the source material,
What are you waiting for? Start planning that trip to the market.